Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I stay healthy. I'm going to be discussing what I eat and drink every single day, and then also the top 5 supplements that I think everybody should be taking on a daily basis. But before we get started, as usual, if you happen to be new here, hello, my name is Shea. I'm so glad you're here. I would love for you to consider subscribing down below by hitting that subscribe button. I usually put out 2 to 3 videos every single week, usually about luxury, fashion, beauty, and then today is like a lifestyle video. If you end up liking this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Now let's get into my diet and what I eat every day. A few years ago, my diet completely changed, and that was when my teeth went to crap. So after I had my first child, I went to the dentist and I had 16 cavities, which is crazy. So it basically just opened my eyes that I need to be putting healthier things into my body, and it was basically just a window into my body, telling me that I need to take better care of myself. So I completely changed how I eat, and at first it was kind of hard, but now it's just second nature to me, and it's just what I'm used to. But the first thing that I did, and probably it was the hardest, but I'm really happy that I did it, is I quit sugar. Now I know a lot of you love sugar and probably think that you can never not have sugar, but it's really just, if you just get over the first few weeks, I would say about 4 weeks of not eating sugar, then it's really not that difficult at all. I really don't even think about it anymore. Now, obviously, there are some things that are kind of hidden in like condiments like ketchup or like barbecue sauce or something like that. There's sugar in those things, and I'm a little bit more lenient with those types of things, but I'm never eating desserts like cakes or pies or cookies or anything like that. I've completely cut that out. The next thing I do is I actually limit bread. I do not eat processed bread, and if I do eat bread, it is only Ezekiel or sprouted bread. And I don't eat gluten either. Now, there are trace amounts of gluten in Ezekiel or sprouted bread, but that's basically just because sprouted bread is, they're grains where the minerals and the natural vitamins are still binded to the grain. And then therefore the bread is so much more healthy for you, unlike processed bread that has tons of preservatives and just really, not good things for you. I still don't even eat that much bread, but when I do, it's usually Ezekiel or sprouted bread. Another thing that I do, which might surprise some of you, is I actually don't eat that much fruit. I think it's really important to have maybe 1 or 2 fruits per day. Usually I have it in the morning, and then the rest of the day I won't have any fruit. And the reason being is that fruit still does have sugar. And I know that it's natural sugar, but it's still sugar, and you should still limit the amount you have every day. So like I said, in the morning, I'll usually have a banana, maybe an apple, something like that. And I'm still getting some good antioxidants and things like that. But then the rest of the day, I focus more on vegetables. And that is where I think it's the very most important part of your diet. You need to eat more vegetables. Vegetables have a very high pH level, which again is extremely important. You want to be very alkaline in your body. When you have a disease like cancer or any disease really, your pH is very, very low. Disease does not thrive in an alkaline environment. So that's really important to kind of eat things that are a lot more alkaline. When it comes to vegetables, it's really important to kind of focus on the rainbow. It's really important to diversify your vegetables. So I'll try to have some green, some red, some purple, some blue. And if you hate vegetables, you can always juice them. I juice a lot actually, and it's because it's a lot easier for me to get vegetables into my body that way. I'm really not a fan of sitting there forever, eating and crunching and chewing and swallowing a lot of vegetables. I just, some of them are okay, others I hate. So I will juice, and I'll try and do that at least once or twice a week. And then that way I know that I am getting some really good things into my body. And this is kind of like a quick, I down the green juice really quickly and then I'm done. And it definitely doesn't taste good, but it's over in like 5 seconds and then I'm done. The next thing that I eat a lot of are eggs. I love eggs, and they are so incredibly healthy for you. I think a while back they used to kind of have a bad reputation that they cause high cholesterol, but that's been completely disproven. But my parents actually have chickens on their property. So it's kind of like far back on their property, but they do have free range chickens, and they feed them really, good organic food, and they eat the grass and everything. So every week I do get fresh eggs. So I'll make omelets, I'll make, just regular eggs for breakfast. I'll incorporate them sometimes into salads. There's a lot of vitamins and minerals, in those, especially ones that are free range and organic. But if you can't do that, even just regular eggs are definitely really healthy for you. Another snack that I like to have is oatmeal. Now, I think a lot of people think oatmeal is so healthy for you, and I really don't think it is actually, unless you take an extra step in making it, and that is soaking oatmeal. So oatmeal has a lot of phytic acid, and phytic acid is actually an acid that pulls and leaches minerals from your bones. So if you're getting a lot of cavities, like I did before, it could be because you are very high in phytic acid. So to kind of fix that, what you can do is when you're making your oatmeal, you kind of do it the day before. So I'll pour oatmeal into a bowl and I'll cover it with warm water, and then I will pour some apple cider vinegar over top of it. And then I'll stir it around, and then it will actually soak for at least 12 hours. And that apple cider vinegar will actually pull the phytic acid from the oatmeal grain. In the morning, you can then rinse the oatmeal, and make sure you do rinse it, otherwise it'll be a little bit like tangy or sour from the apple cider vinegar. But you just rinse it, and then you go ahead and cook it and make the oatmeal like normal. It is so much better and so like fulfilling. It makes me feel really full. So I feel a lot better about eating it because I know I'm only getting the good minerals and everything from it and not the bad. And then finally, the last diet tip I have for you guys is to limit your meat. Now, I'm definitely not a vegetarian, but I don't eat tons of meat either. So I think a really good rule of thumb is actually to limit your portion size to the size of your palm. So for dinner, if we're having like chicken or a roast or something like that, I limit my portion size to this size. Then my kids, they obviously have much smaller hands, so their portion size is a lot smaller, whereas my husband has a larger hand, and then he will limit his portion size to the size of his palm. So I think that's a really good rule of thumb, and then that way you are still getting some meat and some protein, but you're not overdoing it. The last thing I want to talk about are my top 5 vitamins and supplements that I think everybody should be taking on a daily basis. I do take more than 5, but these are the very most important ones that I think, everybody should be taking every day. So I kind of rank them from, most important to least important, even though I think they're all important. Even if you eat extremely healthy, like perfect, you're still not going to be getting enough vitamins and nutrients that your body needs. And that's basically because of soil depletion. The crops that were grown decades and decades ago were so much more rich in vitamins and minerals than they are today, unfortunately. And again, that's just because of soil depletion. As crops are grown through the years, the minerals and the vitamins and everything have just been lost. So that is why I recommend these top 5 supplements every day. But I am going to start off with a good multivitamin. Now mine is by Megafood, and I will be linking all of my favorite brands and products down below, so if you are interested, definitely check that out. But this brand is actually Megafood, and I really like this brand because their multivitamin is in a whole food form. Therefore, our body recognizes it as food, and it's really absorbable into our body. So you can take it on an empty stomach, you can take it with food, you can take it whenever you want, so it's really easy. And it just gives you a really good foundation because it gives you a big array of vitamins and minerals that your body's kind of lacking. I actually take one that is for women 55 or older because it doesn't have iron, and I'm pretty high in iron. So if you are, I would recommend that. A lot of women are low in iron, so I guess it just kind of depends on your situation. But the next thing I think that's really important is a good probiotic. Now this one is by Renew Life. I also like Garden of Life, and I also like one that's called Flora. But like I said, this one is Renew Life, and I will have it linked down below along with some others. But I think a lot of people think that they're getting their probiotics from yogurt. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. That's really just a drop in the bucket. You're really not getting that much at all. So I think it's a really good idea to supplement with a good one. And it's best to always take it on an empty stomach. So I usually take mine in the morning, first thing when I'm waking up. I'm drinking my water, and I will take a probiotic. And that's basically just because your intestines and everything are clear. And that way, the probiotic and all the different strains and everything can coat your intestines and really, make your digestive system better, and it's just a lot more healthy that way. Another reason why I think it's so important to take a probiotic is our society today, they do take a lot of antibiotics, and when you take an antibiotic, it completely wipes out all of the good bacteria and all of the beneficial bacteria in your system. So you really want to, be kind of supplementing with this so you kind of like build it back up. Another thing that I like to do is vary the strains. So when I'm finished with this particular brand or this bottle, I will actually purchase a different brand the next time so that I'm getting different strains, because you don't want your body to get used to the same strains every time. So this one has 10 different probiotic strains, and the next time when I order one, I'll try and make sure the strains are different. The next thing I think is really important is vitamin D, and you do want to make sure that you get D3, which is the active form of vitamin D. If you get D2, that's actually synthetic, and that is not nearly as good. So definitely make sure yours says D3. 3. Vitamin D is so important, and unfortunately I can't be getting natural sunlight every day. So in turn, I do kind of supplement with this. This is 2,000 international units. I think that's kind of a good base. I do get some other forms of vitamin D from my other supplements. So in the end, I probably take around 3,000 international units. Some people take up to like 5 or 6. Some take more, some take less. It kind of depends on your size as a person. But low vitamin D levels are associated with disease. Like cancer patients, for instance, have very, very low vitamin D. So it's really important to have higher levels of vitamin D. I do think getting natural sunlight is the best way to go. So in the summertime, I will go out for about 10 or 15 minutes every day and kind of let my arms out and my legs out to get some natural sunlight. Next thing that I think is really important is taking a good fish oil. Now, I really like Nordic Naturals. They're very reputable. They're really known for their fish oil, actually. I think when you go on like the more cheaper side of fish oil, you'll get a lot of, fish burps, and that's why a lot of people, I think, don't like to take fish oil. But when you get fish burps, that actually means that the fish oil is rancid. That means it's bad, and that's really unhealthy, actually. So you don't want to go cheap, I guess, and that is why I do like this brand. They're really careful about their steps and their process and making sure that their product never becomes rancid. Fish oil is really good for your brain, your heart, your joints, your skin, your mood. It's just good for so many things. It will also lower your triglycerides and raise your good cholesterol, so that's really good. And then it's also anti-inflammatory. Another reason why I take this is, I do like to eat fish, and eating fish like salmon is good for, the fish oil and everything. But unfortunately, eating too much fish can actually you can get too much mercury, and mercury is in a lot of fish, so you kind of want to limit how much fish you eat. So that's why it's really good to supplement with an actual fish oil. Divided doses for this are a little bit better, so I try and take 1 in the morning and then 1 in the evening. The last supplement that I want to talk about is Curcumin, and this one is by Terry Naturally, and it's called Curcumin. And curcumin it's kind of trending lately. It's getting a lot more popular because I think people are starting to realize how amazing it is for your body. So basically, it is extremely anti-inflammatory, and inflammation in your body is horrible. And whether you can feel it or not, there's inflammation all through your body, and that's really, really bad. A lot of people actually use this for pain, like if you're getting a headache or a backache or whatever, people actually take this and it works just as well as like an aspirin or an Advil, which is crazy, and it's so much more healthy. But it's also really good just to take on a daily basis, and it does just kind of make your body function a lot better. This also has anti-cancer properties, so in lab studies this has been shown to help prevent or sometimes even treat breast cancer, skin cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer. It's just crazy. So I'm hoping that as the years go on, this kind of gets a little bit more well known, and hopefully, maybe gets out there a little bit more. But I do think this is amazing. This actually does come from the spice turmeric. So that is a spice people use in their food, and people in India use that spice a lot, and they have very, very, very low rates of Alzheimer's disease, and they're thinking it is actually because of this, because curcumin does come from turmeric. So that's another reason. It's really interesting, and again, I'm hoping that as time goes on, we learn even more about how amazing this can be. So those are my top 5 supplements, and like I said, I do take more, but I think these top 5 will give you an amazing foundation and really supplement your body with everything that you're kind of missing when it comes to food. The last thing that's really important to your health is exercise, and unfortunately I'm definitely lacking in this department, and it's probably just because I have a lot on my plate, which I know is no excuse. I obviously have kids, I work full-time, and I'm now doing this YouTube thing, but it's really important to find time in your day to exercise. And when I do exercise, I really try to do fun things, like I'll do Zumba, like the dancing thing, sometimes Pilates, and then I also really love watching YouTube videos. You can find some awesome workouts and routines and everything on YouTube. So I definitely recommend that option for you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed all the tips and strategies I have for staying healthy. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll really try and help you guys out. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!